Can't get this thing to work. Oh boy, this stupid thing. All right, looks like we got some people in here now. Let's see if we can get this thing going. There we go. Got it. Now I got the live chat up. We got 8 people on board. Sorry, y'all. 11 people on board. Trying to get some chat. So how do I get the chat to come up here? This is new for me. So still working on everything here. Let's see. Live chat. There we go. Looks like Joseph Chase. Or who's that? Joseph Clues. I was going to do it on the computer, guys, but for some reason, that stupid thing did not work. So here we go. We're going live. I was going to do this from the front deck. That's why the name From the Front Deck. But here's what we're going to do. All right, here we go. Now we got some first questions. We're going to talk about everything that you want to talk about. What do I think about the new update? At first, I have had a bag mixed emotions on this thing. But before we get into this, I want to thank 2 people. I want to thank chattyboys.com because they are putting in so much to do with this 10,000K giveaway. And secondly, I want to thank somebody who, his name is Stephen Brown. He's got XHD mounts. I put him in the description below. I will put him in the description. He is donating some mounts, some fish finder mounts to this thing. How awesome is that? That is going to be awesome. I saw a guy from Lake Fork, my favorite lake in the whole world, getting on board. So, guys, give these guys a look. I'm not getting anything from them. They're just nice people, and I'm trying to grow, and they're trying to grow also. So, but I'll tag their description, especially Chatty Boys. He is doing so much. Dennis Graham from Crappie Time. What's up, man? What's going on? But we're going to talk about everything today. We're going to talk about Bassmaster Classic, MLF, the new update. We're going to talk about everything. Let's get into it. The first question was what I think about the new update. When I first saw it, I loved it. And the 26.1, I loved it a lot. But then as I got to really messing with it, I got to say that the new, hey, how you doing, guys? The new update is very finicky. The old update, you could just set some settings and go with it. This new update, you've got to work with it a little bit harder. And especially the 26.2, now that they fixed the blue background, I got to say, I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. You lose a tad bit of detail, but you gain that in clarity. And so sometimes some of the crappie guys, they're not going to be as happy with it. But the bass guys are loving it. And I think what's happened here, and maybe some people can chime in, the LVS 32 has started to reach its ceiling. You can only get something so good, and they've designed it in until they just can't get it any better, even with updates and updates and updates. And I think that's the reason for the release of the LVS 34. I don't think this update was given to say, hey, this is so horrible, we got to get the new one. I think that just we've reached the end of what the capabilities are for this current Livescope. Now, you got to realize this Livescope's almost 5 years old. So, although it's just got popular in the last year or two, and especially with Patrick Walters on Lake Fork, he's the one that kind of put it over the top. He's the one that brought it into the mainstream. You know, crappie guys been using it for a while, but when bass guys got a hold of it, then it became like, this is what we've got to have. And you look at tournaments now, Jacob Wheeler dominated right here at Lake Fork. And he dominated. He went crazy, and he was doing it on Livescope. And now that when they got to the Bussy Break, the championship round, they were flipping bushes. It wasn't as effective. But on Caney Lake, we watched him. I've got some videos up where I was live with him, and he dominated with Livescope. And so that's what's happening. I think we've reached the limit. And I've seen this LVS. I've seen videos. I have some in my possession. I'm going to tell you, it's the real deal. The new LVS 34 is absolutely the real deal. Now, is the LVS 32 going to go away? I don't think so. But I can tell you this much. When it comes Black Friday, there's going to be some awesome Black Friday sales on these LVS 32s. And for guys who like to crappie fish or not as hardcore, that LVS 32 is unbeatable. And I pretty much got it dialed in. And I got to tell you, that 26.2, they fixed a few flaws in it. And I did some testing today, and I got to tell you, I tested it and compared it to some older hardware updates and the softwares. And yes, he is doing the same thing at Smith Lake. The boy's bad. I mean, I think KVD's lost his drive. That's one of the biggest deals. He's lost his drive. He's getting old. He's the GOAT for real. And along with Roland Martin and Bill Dance. But this Livescope's taken over, and it's active target for him. But the LVS 34 is a real deal. And so I kind of like the new software updates. I'm going to work and show you some. I got some videos coming out next week where I've compared an older 24 version of the software update to this one. And I think you'll be surprised at my findings. I think that the new one, like I said, losing a little detail but gaining some clarity. I think that's kind of where we're at. And that is because we're hitting the ceiling. And we're done. We just can't go any higher with the capabilities of this unit. But here's some stuff I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Bassmaster Classic. My boy, my pick to win it, Jason Christie, is, look, man, the man's done pulled out to the lead. I mean, he came back to win a Classic. Hey, after 2 days, he's looking like he might have a chance to do it. I mean, there's some big names up top. Let me get this computer open and see if we can't get to the deal here. I want to see the leaderboard because it is stacked. It is stacked with just huge names. Hank Cherry is within firing distance to go back to back to back 3 times. That's never been done, never been achieved before. He is in rare territory. But let's take a look at the leaderboard here. I hate pop-ups. That drives me nuts. Jason Christie, Kyle Welcher. This dude is good. If you ever watched his YouTube channel, you will love Kyle Welcher. He's awesome. He's awesome. And he's pretty cool. Travels around with his girlfriend. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. If y'all got questions, throw them at me because I'll stop talking about the Bassmaster Classic to work on anything you want to talk about. We'll work on it, see if we can get it fixed. My wife will be so happy that this picture, this painting, like canvas painting, is in the background. She loves this house. And she's my brother going to send me a text that I got a big old head. But Kyle Welcher, Brian New, Lee Livesey, I bet you Texas right now, Lake Fork, they going nuts over at the minnow bucket. I bet you they're going nuts. If he can, and he's only 3 pounds off the lead. That's nothing. Hey Tommy, Papa Tommy, he's chiming in. That's my stepdad, Tommy Williams. So we got some big names. I mean, Patrick Walters, he's only 5 pounds back. This is Jason Christie, like I said, out front. Actually, he's tied for the lead with Kyle Welcher. I thought he was leading it. But some big names there in the top. Scott Martin, still within firing distance, 5 or 6 pounds. Swindle's there. I'd love to see Swindle win one. Steve Kennedy, he's always there. Big Hack Attack. Brandon Card. We had some big names miss the cut, though, that I thought would do really, really good. I thought Brandon Pollinuk was. Stacy, what's up, man? Slot Limit Baits, baby. He's been there from the beginning. I should have got my Slot Limit Baits on, but it's in the truck. Am I in the bathroom? No. I'm sitting at my kitchen table. Maybe I should put it up here like this. Here, let me do that. Let me put it up a little higher. If I can get it to stand up higher. It won't stand up higher. I was on the computer, but the computer for some reason would just not go live. It just sat there spinning. I could see people talking, but it wouldn't go live. So I'm not in the bathroom. That's kind of funny that you say that. But I'm not in the bathroom. I'm sitting at the dining room table. Got a long list of stuff to talk about. I want to see some questions. I want you to ask me questions. I don't care what it is. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Garmin fish finders. Let's talk about fishing, baits, steady cast. I tell you what I got coming out this week. I've had some people talking about how they're, let's see, I upgraded from the GPS to the 1222. Will the extra pixels make a big screen? Absolutely, absolutely. They make a huge difference. And I say this, always buy the biggest screen you can afford. Not saying you can't get away with a 9-inch unit, a 10-inch unit, but if you can get 12, get 12. It just allows better target separation. When you got those extra pixels, it allows a better target separation. It's like comparing an older iPhone to a newer iPhone. It's always going to have a little bit better resolution, a little bit better. So you can see your baits a little bit easier, especially when you drop it in a brush pile. And with this new update where the detail is not quite as good with the LVS 32, that's a huge deal, having that extra target separation. That's a great, 1222 they're my favorite. 1022 and the 1222 are absolutely my favorite because I got fat sausage fingers. And these touchscreens drive me insane. I mean, I'll be trying to hit them, but I hit every button on the screen but the one I want to hit. And it's so easy with that little knob dial to just dial it in, change the gain, change the forward distance, and change the depth, and really dial it in. Because those are your three things. Once you kind of get the other one set, those three, and all you do is push the dial in. Okay, serious question. With a quick rise in ambient water register temperature and not as quick of a rise in water temperature, what is your tip? I'm looking to see more live footage from the LVS. It's coming. With the ambient temperature coming up and the water temperature a little bit slower, these fish are wanting to come. They're coming. And I noticed that, I'm using, yesterday went and I threw the spinner baits. I threw spinner baits. I threw lipless. But the bait that kind of got it was a dark colored chatterbait. Caught the big one that I posted on the Garmin Guru page, caught it on a chatterbait, and I'm talking about engulfed it. And what's crazy is these were in areas where I was throwing lipless baits and things like that. You would think that a lipless, trying to get that reaction strike, would be the way to go, even a square bill. But for some reason, the chatterbait was the way to go. I guess it was that little tight vibration. I don't know, but I tried an array of baits. And people always ask me, do you actually catch fish with the stuff I do? And yes, I do occasionally catch a fish, catch some big bass. I actually try to post some videos of some big bass that I caught. Let's see. I'm going to go live from the back deck. I got two stepdads. Got Tommy Williams and Mark Spillers. Mark Spillers been around me for 25, 30 years. Let's see, since I was 9 and he was 20 years old. So I wish the deadgum lives go away too fast. Can't keep up with them. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He chucks as much wood as he wants to chuck. Here, just get to chucking. I don't know where that came from, but we're chucking wood. But I want to talk about something else that's got me all in a uproar. This MLF. I love MLF. 20 minutes, but water temperature still cold. Lots of hits on moving baits. He said the temperature went up by 20 degrees, but the water still stayed cold. I don't pay attention much to the air temperature as I do the water temperature this time of year and the full moon. That's when the fish start rushing the banks. It's the length of the day. Length of the day is as important as anything. But I will say this, when the nighttime temperatures hit 40 degrees, stable 40 degrees every night, where the temperature doesn't go below 40, that's when you know the spawn is on. It's coming. Pre-spawn and spawn. When you get those nights dipping below 30 into the 30s, it's not quite time. But when you get that steady line of 40, 43, 42, 44, dang, that's a giant. That's when you know that it's going to, those fish are finna start storming the banks. First going to come the males, and those females are a little bit bigger, so you're going to back out. I like to back out. I like to stay out and try to catch the bigger fish. I'll take 1 7-pounder over 10 1-pounders every day of the week. That's just me. That's why I love Livescope fishing. My brother. I got to love him. You're welcome and thanks. But I want to talk about MLF right now. Why in the world would you hold a event parallel to the Bassmaster Classic? I think it's the most disrespectful thing you can do as a business. I understand they run in a business too, but Bass paved the way for MLF, FLW, and all the other organizations, the Toyota Series, the Opens. They all come from Bass and Ray Scott. And somebody who owns MLF, Boyd Duckett, won the Bassmaster Classic. Have some respect. You don't have to. I guess he don't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. But having a parallel event is the absolute most ridiculous thing, and it is so classless to me. Let them have their day. Let them have their moment and say, thank you for paving the way. Thank you for opening the doors for us. There is no MLF without Bass and the Bassmaster Classic, without Roland Martin, without Bill Dance, without Boyd Duckett won it. Gary Klein, he owns it. He's classless too. They make me sick in my stomach because that is ridiculous that you do that. You don't go over the top of a guy. You don't go over the top of one. Well, my bad. Asleep at the reel right there. Man, it wouldn't go live. It wouldn't go live because it kept saying going live, going live, going live. It just spun and nothing ever happened. So I had to switch over to my phone. That's where I'm at. Cool American. Hello from Yuma, Arizona. Man, I'll tell you why. I wish I'd get some of my Australian people on there. But what do you guys think about the MLF? Do you think it's kind of classless? I think it is. I just don't think it's so. I just don't like going over the top of another of over the Bassmaster Classic. I know the Red Crest is awesome, and it's a cool format, and MLF's a cool format, especially since they raised it to 2 pounds or they float it depending on the lake they're on. But have some respect for the guys that built this thing. Have some respect. Do it. Zach, what do you want me to put on a shirt fast? You said make a shirt. I need to know. So that's what I say. I don't like what they done. And that's a big deal to me. And which brings me to another point. I see that Scott Martin, he's in the running. Let's see where Scott's at right here. Scott Martin's 15th. He was 6 pounds out the lead. Big last day. I mean, Asleep at the Reel. Well, that's actually another YouTube channel, Zach. I wish I could do it, but that's another YouTube channel. And he's a good friend of mine. Chris Gill has a great channel. He's a veteran. His opening intro to his stuff is absolutely awesome. He's got some live footage from when he was within Afghanistan on tour over there. So that's awesome. And I salute anybody that's served in the armed forces. But let's get back to Scott Martin. He's in. And Bass offered Roland Martin an opportunity to get in on his legacy. He just got a subscription. He just got cool. Thank you. He'll love that. Bass offered Roland Martin a chance to get in on his legacy deal. And he went to many of his sponsors, and they would not come and help Roland Martin get on tour to front because it's very expensive to get on tour nowadays. You don't make money on tour. Even the top guys, there's a few. David Baker said Bill Dance lived next to him. And Sleep of the Reel said Square One Designs, which is my brother, y'all. How much is my scope deucer worth? I don't know. I haven't even thought about it because I'll be selling mine here before long. I'm going to do a lot of testing before I do sell mine. I have to do some research on that. But they said none of his sponsors would pick up his tab. And, well, I'll tell you what, Jim, Mr. Jim K. Yeah. Let me tell you why they left. I know a few of the guys, and I want to tell you why they left. They left under the promise of free entry fees. And I'd have left too under free entry fees. MLF offered them free entry fees. And the reason Greg Hackney, and I've heard it personally out of his mouth, the reason they started coming back is because when the COVID started, they wanted them to tear up their 3-year contract, which is a 3-year contract, 3 years, no entry fee, and tear it up and pay. They had to start paying entry fees. This year they do pay entry fees. Last year, or maybe the end of 2020, when COVID was really strong, Jacob Wheeler didn't. If you pay attention, he didn't even win $100,000. He won 60 because a lot of MLF sponsors are non-endemic. Is that how I say that? They're not anything to do with fishing, and Bass's are all fishing related sponsors. So MLF lost a lot of sponsors and were struggling, and so they had to go back and get everybody to rip up their contract and pay entry fees. So that's why all the anglers left. They didn't leave because of, all right, first Australian guy, Nathan Horsfall. Pretty cool. That's 9,000 miles away from this house. They didn't leave because it was a better organization. They left for the promise of free entry fees. And now they don't have free entry fees. And that's why some of the big guys have started coming back. I actually believe KVD would do better if he came back, because this 31-pounder crap is not his game. He's a 5-fish, big fish, grind them out, take 5, Toledo Bend kind of guy where he spends all day to catch 5 giants and kick your butt. He is the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says. Jacob Wheeler may be the best right now, but KVD's the GOAT, man. Plain and simple. Roland Martin's number 2. Jacob may be a distant 3rd. Roland Martin is the best pattern fisherman to ever walk the face of this earth, and I would love to see if he ever got back on tour, if he could commit to it. Could he? He would be bad to the bone. He doesn't have the commitment now. He's an old guy. But, that's why I say Bass should have comped his entry fees. They should have comped him. He's worth more in his name than anything he could ever do. What is the best site for Livescope information? There are several of them. Well, that's a great question, buddy. The Garmin Guru. That's right. Look up the Garmin Guru page. It's got about 1,000 members. You don't get no better site than that, man. I mean, come on with me. It's Mr. Nathan Horsfall. I hope I'm saying your name right. Taking off big time in Australia. That's pretty cool. And thank you, Chris J, for agreeing. Taking off pretty cool, and it's pretty cool, and I'm glad my videos are helping. But I think Bass should have comped Roland Martin's. It's a respect thing. This man's got 9 Bass Angler of the Year titles. He invented pattern fishing, which is what Bass is built on now, which was all fishing's built on. You go fishing now, you look for a pattern. What is a pattern? He figured it out. And he is the greatest practicer and tournament fisherman besides KVD ever. And KVD is bad to the bone back in his younger days, and he's got a little older now, but 4 Bassmaster Classics say a lot. That's the only thing Roland missed was the Bassmaster Classic, and it's because they limited practice. And he's such a great practicer in finding fish that he was kind of handicapped with that. So that was his one weakness and downfalls. He could never, he didn't do good on the short-term practices. He was good on the long-term practices, grind it out, really build a pattern, because he's a pattern fisherman. And so it didn't work out well for him. I wish Bass would let him in. I think it's a respect thing. Jimmy Houston was great. Jimmy Houston was great. And Jimmy Houston's a great guy. I've met him. Met him when he was out at the Washita River. Big Murray, cod, and big yellow. That's what they use Livescope for in Australia. That's pretty cool. I met Jimmy Houston, though. He was a nice guy, great Christian fella. And he lives what he says. If he lives by the Christian way, and that's what he says, which that's pretty awesome. Not a lot of people do that. On the force, so it's audible noise. This guy just asked, would Garmin do an update so when spot lock is locked, it makes an audible noise. I will tell you this, if you use the remote and hit spot lock, it does make an audible beep on the remote to do that. It does not do it on the pedal. I think that's a great idea. I don't know how to, we need to figure out a way to get that to Garmin. Yeah, Hank Parker, good guy. He's a good Christian guy. They said when he was in his tournament years that he was a mean, cutthroat son of a gun. I mean, he was, but he was just, that's how he was. He was a competitor. He was the kind of guy that would cut a corner across a stump flat if it felt getting to that spot to beat you, getting to a spot. That's how he was. And ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Competitors. Some of the stuff he probably did back then wouldn't be allowed in today's due to safety reasons. But he was a bad dude too now. And he retired the right way. He won a Bassmaster Classic and walked off the stage and retired. How cool is that? And Bill Dance is, I mean, he's one of the top 5 ever. He don't. I know people say something about him that's fishing show, fishing private ponds. I'd fish them too if I could. I'd go fish a private pond every single day of the week if I could fish one. I mean, we all know that you would, especially when you catch them whales like he catches. But if you got questions about this is kind of what we're trying to do, is try to get some of the questions that I can't get to in the comments. I'm going to try to start answering these questions. And so this is what the first live is. It's going to be us talking about fishing, us discussing stuff, talking about, who's the GOAT, who ain't the GOAT. You bring it up, we'll talk about it. And I think it's, this is going to be fun. We're going to try to do this every week. My son is watching. Say hi to Braxton. How you doing, Braxton? Is it cool 9,000 miles away? That is a fisherman's tan. Look at that. But Braxton, hello in Australia, 9,000 miles away. That is so cool. I looked it up today. I asked Siri how far away it was. It was 9,000 miles from my house. That is pretty awesome that we're getting a growing fan base over there. And I love the fact that we're helping over there. I think that's pretty cool. And those guys are helping me out a lot over there. And but we're going to try to do this every week, have a live where we discuss things. And I don't know how it might go 25 or 30 minutes. It may go an hour if we really get into something. But here's one. I fished with Bill many times, and I know firsthand that he can catch a fish. And Pickwick ain't a farm pond. You dead-gum right. Pickwick's a giant lake. Was there a new update on the Livescope? Yes, sir, it was. There was 2610 back in January, and then they updated it. It was dated February the 22nd, but it come out probably 3-4 days ago, 26.20. And they addressed the blue screen. Should be able to see my jerkbait on LS. The first time wasn't picking up further than 45. I'll get to this. They addressed the blue screen. And I went out and tested it today, and I got to tell you that blue screen's back. And I think by adjusting the blue screen, which is the blue palette, that helped all of it. I had great success. I've got a video coming out where I tested Alabama rig in every single color palette to try to find the best one to throw an Alabama rig on. It's one of my favorite things. And I tell you what, I think they did a lot of good stuff with it. It's still a tough update to adjust. It's not as easy as the 25.3. So I will say this. If you're happy with 25.3 and you're getting what you want, don't think you're going to go to 26.20 and it get that much better. You lose a little bit in detail. Same couch, our homie done made it. Well, I appreciate that, man. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Alice. Appreciate y'all watching. Y'all are my first supporters. Zach, you've helped me a lot. You helped me a lot get my ideas in my head and get going. And I appreciate that. That's my brother. And where was I at? Oh, there we go. We're talking about the screens. And so all those color palettes, I think they're so much better. But the new update, not as good in terms of detail, but very much better in terms of clarity on your screen. So you lose a little bit, you gain a little bit, and that comes back to we're reaching the ceiling. And so in about 3 weeks, we're going to have the LVS 34. And I've seen the videos. purse hand. I got some on my phone. Absolutely amazing. I mean, clear screens, picking up your bait 120 feet. You know how hard it is to cast a bait 120 feet? An Alabama rig, it's harder than you think. First, I want to answer the other one. On the jerk bait, I use jerk bait for target fishing. And I say this, I'm not making those 70, 80, 90 foot casts. So I use it to pick up around 50. I'm using it to pick up around 50 feet because I'm seeing the fish and I'm targeting that fish, making shorter casts. If you're trying to throw out there at 100, 120 feet and see a jerkbait, you're not going to see it on this LVS 32. It's just not going to happen. It's probably in that 50 to 60 foot range with a jerkbait. It's truly what it is. Now, you can turn on that trails feature, and that helps a little bit because it will drag that trail. But trails features come with their own little, you pick up trails, but then you start picking up a lot of that debris in the water. It clutters the screen a lot. I actually have a line test video where I use the trails feature. You can see it. It helps a little bit, but I would say you want to get in that 40 to 50 foot range to target fish with a jerk bait. The new one, the new LVS 34, that's going to be a lot better. You're going to be able to see that thing out to 90, 100 feet. And trust me, I've seen it, and I know it's true. Now, the 93 UHD and the 1022, it's a 1 inch bigger screen, but the resolution is way better. The resolution is way better on the GPS map 1022. It's only 1 inch, but it seems like 10. It really does. And as all you fellas know, 1 inch is an important deal. It's a big deal. Should the Livescope transfer. And so it's a big deal. It's got a lot better resolution, and you're going to get a lot better target separation. I also wish they had a disconnect transducer. And I think the new one is going to have it because all it is a screw that screws in and screws through. So when you put it in, it's got a locking screw, and you can unscrew it and take it off if you want to. And I think that's probably a good idea, especially in stumpy water. Goodness gracious, some of the comments are going by so fast I can't keep up with them. I missed the last one. I missed the last comment. But yeah, you can definitely disconnect it and take it off. And I think that's going to be a cool feature, especially being able to, instead of in stumps, not worried about breaking it. And you definitely can break these things because they're just plastic, and you don't want to damage those crystals. And if you're in a real stumpy environment, taking it off is a great thing. But me, I'm turning it on perspective mode, and you see how valuable perspective mode is. I can't hardly fish the spawn without perspective mode, especially this year. I see 80% of the fish I catch. That's the truth. And I may not see every one of them because sometimes they get in the mud or they lock in behind it. They lock in behind a tree. But just knowing that when I do see a fish, sometimes I'll spend that extra 6, 7, 10 casts. And if you get it right, you can pretty much entice him to go ahead and bite. And that's pretty cool, being able to entice them to bite knowing they're there. I can't tell you how many fish I have caught this year. Even have a video where I seen the fish, I thought I had a bite, wasn't sure, looked at the screen, saw him on there, made 3 more casts, and then boom, caught a 5-pounder. That's awesome. I had one tree where I caught almost 20 pounds of bass, 4 fish, and I made 60 casts before I caught all 4 because I just had to get the bait right. I just had to get them to see it. Will it disconnect without taking out all the cables? Turn clutter. All right. Oh boy. All right. Well, that's a lie. Will it disconnect and the other cables? I think what you do is put you some Velcro strips on there. Just undo the screw, pop the Velcro strips off real quick, get them out of there. Bass Tank sells some. You can buy them on Amazon for like $5 for like a 100-foot roll of double-sided Velcro tape. That's pretty awesome. When you flip it over perspective mode, all you see is clutter. I think that's an angle problem, and probably an angle and a depth problem. First of all, depth, I'm going to say this. I know that you can read it in 13, 15 foot of water with it angled down. It is a shallow water tool. That means 0 to 8 feet. 0 to 8 feet. And secondly, that transducer needs to be at that angle, not Garmin's angle of this, because that's shooting the rays down. Okay? I want it up. I want the top of the rays shooting up at the water. You would be surprised that you can actually see buzzbaits and frogs and see fish chasing these baits. Hey, Zane, what's going on? That's my other brother. You can be surprised that you can actually see fish chasing your buzzbait and frog. And how valuable is that? Because sometimes they don't push water. They don't push water, and they just chase. I had a fish on video chase a buzzbait out, turn around and go back in, threw a Cinco in and caught him. He never pushed up the water. He was within 3 or 4 feet of the buzzbait, but he just didn't take it. Turned around, threw a Cinco in there and caught him. Very valuable tool. Yeah, the Garmin angle is horrible. I've got some videos on it. Go back and check in the perspective mode. There's some videos talking about how my transducer is angled. I think it's very important. If you look at all my videos, working on that right there, brother. If you work at all my videos, you'll see that the cone angle is like that. It's about partially pointing up, partially pointing down, very equal. And that is because I'm trying to fish ultra shallow water, 6 to 8 feet and less. And that's where you get those beautiful pictures like today, the pictures of the ditch. You can't get that on the Garmin angle. It's just not going to happen because you're losing half your rays straight into the bottom. Garmin's just, I don't know what they're thinking. How far under the water does it have to be? It just cover the transducer. Mine is about that far under the water. I try to get it up high, away from the foot. Gives me a little bit better clearance, things like that. I have it on a live scanner pole. They're a good company. They do good stuff. I love their pole. It's independently mounted from my trolling motor. And that way I don't have to worry about spot lock and it going back and forth and dancing. I don't have to go down the bank. And then when I get through off the trolling motor, aiming it toward the bank, I kick it off at a 45-degree angle on the live scanner pole. I've got my perspective mode if I'm fishing trees, and I just leave it there. And that way I don't have to worry about touching it, and I can do whatever I want to do with my trolling motor. In, out, whatever, turn around, back up if I need to, and that perspective mode is staying right there. And the longer it's there, the more that black box can work on that picture, and it will actually clean the picture up a little bit. How can I hide the grid lines? It's in the settings. Go in the settings over there. I think it's, I want to say click on sonar settings. It's either appearance or it's one of the top 2 or 3 tabs. I need to look that up. I can give you exact, I should have had a fish finder right here with me where I could do all that. It's in there in sonar. It's, good gracious alive. I need to type in exactly what it's called here because I can't remember everything on it. Let's see here. We're gonna find out how to. This is easy. I could have told you, but then I had to turn on my thing. Let's see here. Very easy. Let's see here. I was looking. I thought I could see it. But it's in the sonar settings. Go on to say it's below appearance. I can't remember the exact next one, but it says grid overlay off on. But I'm going to tell you something that's really cool. It's really cool. I use this a lot. In perspective mode, I use what they call the radial grid overlay. There's 2 different kinds of grid. There's a box grid, which is not worth a crap. It just gets in your way. But they have what they call a radial grid. And it's lines that are pointed around the 135-degree cone. Why is that useful? If I'm fishing and I've got my transducer pointing this way, and I see a stump off of center. You can actually take your rod, line it up on that line, make a cast, and hit it every single time. So it allows you to make a more accurate cast. Now, when you're fishing stumps, say on a stump flat, before we made so many wasted casts. We'd cast here, we'd cast there. You're just hoping to hit a stump. I don't do that. When I'm fishing a flat, I don't make casts unless I see a stump or a fish. I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm not out there to practice for casting. I can do that in the front yard. I may make 40 casts, you may make 100. I'm gonna hit 40 stumps, you're gonna hit 6. And so that's gonna help me catch more fish, and my arm's not wore out. I'm out there working on my tan. You over there working on your arm, getting them all big and buff. But using that radial grid overlay, lay your rod over the top of it, get a point, make a cast. You'll hit that stump 90% of the time, or come very, very close. That's what you want to do, is bump that stump, bring that spinnerbait right over top, hit it with a crankbait, throw the jerkbait over the top, or the Alabama rig. And you can see Alabama rigs, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, you can see it on the perspective mode if you get the angle horizontal to the top of the water. And I've got so many videos in the perspective mode folder that say that. And one guy said something earlier, and I just now remember this. They said they ought to outlaw forward-facing sonar. Why? Why would you outlaw the greatest technology that has ever been invented in terms of fishing? Because it's not fair. Everybody's got it. The outlawing of the Alabama rig was the dumbest thing ever. Their reasoning behind it was like fish mortality rates. I've seen far more fish die to swallowing a jerkbait than I've ever seen swallowing an Alabama rig. They ain't getting all 5 hooks in their mouth. They get one. They might get one upside their face, but they get a jerkbait. They'll have that thing and you can't hardly get it out. They'll have it in their gill plates, in their mouth, in their eye. It was a crock of crap. What it was people threw a fit right off the bat, and they jumped to a hasty conclusion, and they outlawed something that was amazing. If you don't think that Alabama rig ain't the best bait ever made for giant fish, then you don't know who Josh Jones is, because he's the greatest big bass fisherman to ever walk the face of this earth. Not tournament fisherman, but big bass fisherman. The man's got 4 share lunkers. 4. And that's the most ever in Texas right now. He lives in Oklahoma. Do you know why I not keep my... Okay, why do you lose your calibration? Somebody asked, why am I losing my calibration? Okay, if you calibrated in forward mode, and you say switch to down mode or perspective mode, you lose your calibration immediately. AHRS will still work. Absolutely, be outlawing bird dogs for the bird hunters. Absolutely. AHRS will still work, which is it's the system that when you're in waves, as your boat's doing this, your screen doesn't do that. It keeps it stable. And that comes from a calibrated compass. It's also, when you switch it to perspective mode, it realizes that and switches the screen without you having to do it. But the calibration of the compass can only be calibrated once, whether it be forward mode, down mode, or perspective mode. If you calibrate in perspective and move to forward, you lose your calibration. If you calibrate in forward and move to perspective and move to forward, you lose your calibration. So it can only be calibrated once. It can only store one calibration. Somebody asked me today, how often do you calibrate? How often do you calibrate? I calibrate when the little thing goes away in the corner. Sometimes you got to calibrate it. I don't understand why. Sometimes I'll do it trip to trip. It takes about a minute. Sometimes I'll go 6 trips. Why is it doing that flipping side to side? Man, when Garmin told me that I had a problem with mine where it would lose calibration, and it kept losing it and then kept flipping, and the AHRS wouldn't work. And they told me that was a problem with my actual transducer. You should call Garmin and they will give you another transducer if it's still under warranty. And I think the warranty is 2 years. If you're having problems with your AHRS, which is your compass calibration system, all that's in there, you need to get that fixed. Or secondly, turn off AHRS and calibrate your compass and don't worry about it. And, but if you're in small waters or stuff like that, AHRS is not that big of a deal. You can flip the mode manually. There's no reason to really have it flip on its own unless you just want to do it. I leave my AHRS on because I don't want it rocking when I'm in waves. Today was 25, 30 mile an hour winds and it was windy, but it keeps that screen stable. That's why I like it. And also it helps when you're marking stumps or things like that. Turn it off. Yes, sir. Screen will move with waves now. And that's a kind of a trade-off. When you don't have it on, it's not going to stabilize the screen. But I would call Garmin and see if they can get me another one. But I keep mine on. I try to keep my AHRS on, and I try to keep it calibrated because if I see a stump and I push waypoint, I don't want it marking where the boat's at. I want it to be able to move that cursor over to the stump 30, 40, 50, 60 feet away, mark the stump. And that way it's marking the stump. I did a video, I think yesterday, where I showed the importance of calibrating it and how it relays into mapping. Now that we can do some split screen stuff, it makes it and brings it to light a lot easier. And shows you the importance of it and how accurate a waypoint can be. I mean, when you mark a waypoint, a stump that's 50 feet away on the left side of that cone, it's there. Will do, thanks. Yeah, I don't know how old yours is, man, but if it's under warranty or anywhere close, I call Garmin, and usually they'll give you one in. They're probably trying to get rid of their stock of LVS 32s. They'll probably throw you one anyway. And heck, why not have a new one with fresh crystals and everything in there? So I'd give them a call in the morning. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. This has been awesome. We've been on for about 46 minutes. I want to thank everybody that got on there the first time. I tried to do this on the computer. It just wouldn't do anything. I don't know what's going on with that. And for the guy that asked about where to turn the grid settings off, look, I will comment specifically to your comment and get you the exact installation of it, the exact menu to turn that off on. I'm sorry I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. I'm sorry I couldn't do that. And so for some reason my brain went fried on that one. But I will get you that one. I will answer that directly into the comments below. I'm sorry about that. There's so many different settings. It's crazy. I can't keep up with the name of all of them. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky. But guys, thanks for watching. Go see the XHD mounts. I'm putting it in the things. I thank you for watching. I'm going to put his in the description. And don't forget chattyboys.com. It's not just about fish finders. This guy's got everything. Well, Chad, if you got a question, man, throw it in there. Throw it in there. XHD mounts. Hey, good to see you on board, Bubba. A lot of good things are happening. Chad, if you got a question, man, throw it in there before I get off here. So this is the first one, and hopefully as I do more and more, we'll get a little bit better organized on this. This is the first one. No, it ain't perfect, but we'll try to get a little bit better organized, and I'll say that's myself. And I'm sorry I couldn't answer that one question. It really ticks me off that I can't. And get a better background. My wife loves that picture. My wife paid like $250 for that picture. You better hush. But thank y'all for watching. Go see chattyboys.com. Chatty, CHADDYBOYS, chattyboys.com. Under appearance. There we go. I could not remember the word. Who is this? Josh Short. Thank you, man. Under appearance, it's there. Grid overlay. It's just a little slide on off. I cannot remember the word. It is blowing my mind. And thank you so much, Josh. Chatty Boys. He's not just fish finders. It's anything to do. I'm talking about right down to the latches on your boat. He has 25,000 products. And catch this. You ready? Garmin Guru, one word, gets you 10% off about 90% of the site. Fish finders, there's a few things that the manufacturer sets the price on that he cannot go below, Garmin, Humminbird. It's because they don't want one company, say like Bass Pro Shops, putting a 30% on sale and undercutting the little guys. They want all the prices to remain stable. So those prices, unless the manufacturer puts on a sale, they cannot put it on sale. He has several items. Matter of fact, he had an Onyx inflatable life preserver the other day for $69, $159 regular. What kind of paper you make? I make paper. I work at the paper mill in West Monroe. We make pretty much beer cartons. That's pretty much what we make. But guys, thank y'all for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Go see Chatty Boys. 10% off. Garmin Guru discount. XHD mounts. He makes some awesome mounts. He's a smaller business. Let's try to prop him up. And plus, he's throwing in a mount for the giveaway. So what do we have in the giveaway now? We got a Garmin fish finder. Used to run a paper slitter. Garmin fish finder. We've got a GT54 transducer, 3 $25 gift cards to Chatty Boys. Now we got an XHD mount on board. Golly, we're going to have $2,000 or $3,000 worth of prizes before this is all over. I mean, it's getting big, and I'm still working on getting some other things in here. So we're at 5,800 now. 4,200, it seems like a little ways away, but when you're adding 70 to 100 every day, it's coming fast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And hit the bell. All right, guys, I'm out.